All right, it is 7 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of Council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West, held at Council Chambers at 216 Main Street, Swan River, Manitoba, this 26th day of August 2025 at 7 p.m. Present this evening, Reeve, Gade, Councillors Byron, Zbirun, Brad Kushniryk, RJ McGregor, Carrie, Blosha, and Brian Burick. Our CEO, Kristi, Ronnquist, is here. Our videographer, Jeremy Bergen, is here. And we have at least one guest so far joining us for the meeting. We'll jump in at 1.2, notice of absence. Be it resolved that notice of absence submitted by Council Member Neely regarding the regular council meeting held this 26th day of August 2025 shall be accepted as received. Is there someone to move the resolution? Councillor Zbirun, and is there someone to second it? Councillor McGregor. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favour? That's carried. On to number 2, be it resolved the agenda for the regular meeting of council held this 26th day of August 2025 shall be adopted as presented. Is there a mover? Councillor Burick, and I saw Councillor Blosha there as well. Any changes or additions to the agenda that anyone wishes to propose tonight? Hearing nothing, we'll call the question. Those in favour? That too is carried. Do you have a public works report?
No, I don't.
I spoke to Mr. Lead Hand just for a minute earlier this afternoon about Splash Park. So he advised on that we were just putting the connections in from the 3-inch water line to the 2-inch meter into the actual housing. The concrete is in already. We don't know when PlayQuest is returning, but should be in a day or two to put the structures in. Hydro's supposed to make an appearance shortly to connect the service. I didn't hear from him on much else today, but I know last week both mowers were going again, the tractors were going, the mowers were going, and that was carrying on as per normal. And I just don't have a lot of other updates.
One mower is broken today.
Oh, one mower broke today. My news is old.
Which one? The south one?
Yes.
Good. I mean, not good, but I just didn't want the north one stopped again. No, I shouldn't have said that. Wipe that off, Jeremy.
Good.
I have poked around a little bit to see if there's anyone with a mower that would like to do a few days of contract work to get us caught up, but I did find 1 or 2 suspects that are doing harvest right now, but when harvest is done, if we still need to catch up, they might be available to get us where we need to be before it snows, so there might be some options there. Let's head to financial items. I'll recover shortly. General Cheques. Be it resolved the Council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West hereby approves the following payments. General Cheques number 20679 to 20680, amount of $20,393.57, and General Cheques 20706 to 20746, the amount of $250,524.51, for a grand total of $270,918.08. There's someone to move the resolution. Councillor Kushniryk, and I see Councillor Zbirun on the back there. I have the checks. You'll note the 2 that are out of sequence are ones that should have appeared last meeting but were missed, so they're here tonight. And I have all the rest of them as well. Who has questions? Councillor Blosha.
20680. That's one of the first 2.
Is it the one for the engine or is it one for the tower? The tower. So that's the half payment for the tower going up a video.
Okay.
And the other one is the labor on the grader that was done.
That kind of had, it said what it was. This
Little
one was
clearer.
kind of.
Yeah.
Like 20710.
Yes.
I know we used to buy stuff to do our own grader glass installs.
So this was just the install. There's no glass on here. Remove and replace a bunch of them, and then mileage of the service trip and windshield urethane. I just don't know the answer. I thought we did do some of our own windows. I don't know if these are special or if we stopped doing it. I know there was something went on where we broke a window by welding above it from not shielding the window. And then the slide fell on the window and smashed it, which was costly. We can find it. Can we run this and we'll find out the answer. Who's next? Don't all go at once.
Just had a question. So our spare grader that we had is working now?
ish. And there was that little leak we talked about
Right.
last meeting. I don't know if it's resolved or not.
Okay, and how about Paul's machine? Paul's machine is working here?
Last I heard it was in York, and I have not heard it returned. It was supposed to be there for about a week, so it should be done and on its way back.
So is Paul be grading? Has he had a machine or no, or?
Well, I thought he was using that one. He's
Yeah.
not been off.
Hasn't
I
he?
kind of suspect he's been using the spare,
Yeah.
but I
Okay.
admit I have not been here enough the last 2 days to tell you.
Yeah.
Okay,
But in theory, if there's 4 that should be working, I think all 4 are going with the 4 operators. I suspect the 140 is probably with Paul. Anything else for checks? Hearing nothing, we'll call the question on the resolution. Those in favor? That's carried. 6.2 payroll checks. Be resolved, the Council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West hereby approves the following payroll payments. Payroll payments number 903 to 921 in the amount of $32,702.75. Is there someone to move the resolution? Councillor Blosha, and who would like to second it? I see Councillor Zbirun. Copy of the payroll numbers are attached to the private view for Council to take a peek at. Any discussion we need on those? I've never thought to ask before now, but I see the new water supervisor is on here. Do we have a plan to move back to the old one now that he's certified?
I told him to tell me when he was, and I haven't heard from him.
He texted me and told me he is now.
Oh, okay, well, that's all.
News!
Perfect.
Okay, we'll work on that. Kristi, Bill, they sound so much alike.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll check into that. Anything else? Hearing nothing, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. 6.3 is for information. We've got the reconciliation attached there, so you can take a peek at how the bank account is doing. It also shows you the outstanding checks and deposits that are in transit. You'll notice that Mountain Dweller Media has 2 checks he hasn't cashed.
Geez, that guy must be loaded.
Be in touch with the office later for a reissue on the fact that they're both expired now. We'll gladly reissue those. Otherwise, most of the checks are fairly current there for the last batch. Also attached is the budget report. Apparently kind of sideways, but it is there. Now, there's a couple things to note on here. This report, we've updated this so that now we always see the money coming in as well as the expenses. We used to always just see the expenses, but it's kind of nice to see both sides. But you'll see on the property taxes, it shows we've taxed 7.4 million and the budget was a lot less. The 7 million includes the school division taxes, where the budget amount is only our budget. There's a corresponding line further in of millions of dollars going to the school division to balance that out. So the end result is the number at the end is fairly accurate, even though it looks way over on the income. There's also that extra expense in there to balance the two. So overall, it's not bad by any means. There's a few places you have to watch a little bit related to the gravel, a little bit of repair stuff. There's still room in those repair budgets. It's just some of the units cost more than we thought, and some haven't cost much at all. So we'll be bouncing that around a little bit. But this is current as of, I believe it was printed late today, at 11 a.m. this morning. So it's current as of the checks from tonight. Anybody have any discussion or questions on that stuff? Let's go to 7-190 Railway Avenue. We discussed here a few weeks back doing the roof on that particular building so that it wouldn't get in worse shape. This is the quote for it. I believe we've told them to schedule it already, but this is just for information so you can see what the plan is for it.
Is that the whole roof or was it the?
Whole roof. Yep. And I think also changing the venting by the look of it, because there's something with the venting isn't quite right, but we'll make that so. 7-2, committee secretary. So you'll recall me saying you'll recall several meetings in a row now about this committee secretary. There's been a meeting of the CAOs, plus I went, because why not? And there has been much discussion amongst the CAOs in the various municipalities trying to look for a framework for how to make this municipal committee assistant work. So what is here tonight is a very, very wordy proposal for how to make it work. I think part of the thought was if we put a lot of extra words in there, it would make people feel happier. So there's lots in there. We didn't write this. This was proposed to us. It's pretty good. I have a couple concerns with it, and I want your opinion as well, so we can share that back to the group. I like the idea of it being the Chamber of Commerce with the subcommittee that's the 4 councils. Basically, it's chamber in name only. It's really the 4 councils making the decisions, but it gives us that place that has the payroll deductions and all that without being a union environment. But what troubles me is this personnel subcommittee of the 4. The way this is written, there's no one of the 4 that is ever day-to-day in charge of the employee. So you have, unless the group of 4 are gathered, no one can say yes or no to a question from the employee. And it specifically forbids anyone from the committee from speaking to the employee unless the other members of the committee are present. And that seems unworkable because, like in my view of the world, there should be a committee. I don't disagree with that at all, but there's got to be a chairperson of that committee. And that chairperson has to be able to answer the phone when the employee has a question and say yes or no. Or I can't say we need to go to the committee to find out. But I think it would be very hard to find somebody that wants to have 4 bosses that all have to be in the same room together before anyone can say anything. So that might need a little work. The rest of it's pretty good. Maybe a little wordy in some of the stuff. And again, kind of like in the sample agreement there, I like the idea of it. That they would have an agreement with, in this case, I think it was or planning district. Here's what's going to be done, here's how much you're going to pay, that's all great. It's a little weird to me how there has to be so many signatures on the bottom of that, because instead of it being someone signing for the committee and someone signing for planning district, it's like pages and pages of signatures for every single person to sign every single thing, which is just, it feels like overkill. And I think a lot of this is to do with trying to get Minnetonus on board and have it spelled out like Trevor liked it to be spelled out, but he's not there anymore. So maybe it doesn't have to be quite so far, but you folks have probably got thoughts too, so what do you all think of it? All right, we'll go around the room. We'll start with Councillor Burick.
No, I have nothing to really add to that.
Okay. Councillor Blosha, thoughts?
I guess we never talked about what a wage for that would be.
We discussed a little bit at the CAO meeting. We were bouncing around ideas. The talk that was there was it probably wouldn't be cheaper than 25 an hour.
Yeah, no.
It'd be kind of that neighborhood. Might even be a little more.
And it would cover which meetings?
So anybody that paid their share towards it. So planning district certainly is one of the first customers in line because they need somebody. But medical recruitment is also already approved budget for it because they need somebody. Vet clinic may or may not, but those for sure, those 2 to start. Chamber wants a few hours as well to look after some chamber stuff. But essentially they would be then, that committee of 4 would be struck, 1 from each municipality, and they would make the agreements with these committees as to how much they paid. The suggestion is the agreements will basically be you pay your fair share of what you used. If you use 20 hours a week of their time, you're paying for half the bill. If you use 5 hours a week, you don't pay for as much to try and make it work. And I think the current version of this, and Kristi will correct me if I'm wrong, I think it basically says that if there's wasted hours, it's kind of split between everybody. Whatever the employee costs, if you use 20% of what was billable and they use 80%, that's how it's split. Even if 10 of those hours were wasted for some reason, you still pay for them. But the intention being that you basically fill up the time between the committees. To make this,
And this isn't just the time that they're spending with the committees. I mean, if the committee has this person going out and doing some legwork, I mean, they pay
right.
for that
Absolutely.
too, right?
Yep. And RISE is, similarly looking for somebody. RISE is a project they want to do. And so they would like somebody to work on that project for a week straight.
Yeah.
And they would pay for the whole week.
Yeah.
But then that project will be over and they'll be back to needing a few hours a month. Councillor Kushniryk, your thoughts?
I'm not sure. I think it's a good position. We discussed before how there's not enough people wanting to volunteer or do all this work, so somebody needs to do it. It does need to be somebody for them to ask. I think in a lot of cases, they could go to the committee they're working for, you know, be it Rise or Chamber or whoever. But yeah, who's in charge for that other downtime and odd questions that are general?
Yeah, like that's, you can't just have no one
Some of
overseeing it.
the reasoning for some of that, and I'm not trying to paint the picture, there was strong concerns at the CAO meeting of the possibility of certain council members from other municipalities being unreasonable with the demands for the assistant to do things for them, and trying to make some sort of framework where you couldn't have the chairperson from the committee walk in and demand an extra 50 things be done before noon today. But sometimes, you know, those concerns came from the town, from one of the town councillors. Sometimes changing the entire way we operate because one person has a hard time with the rules isn't always the best idea. Sometimes it's better to just have the general how we operate and deal with the one person as an issue, rather than let's change everything and make everything more difficult for everybody else.
No, I think there was an amendment here, this should be the board chair.
Oh, okay.
So there was that one person that was in contact. Because that was one of the things we emailed about, was what your concern is.
Okay. Councillor McGregor.
I think my questions were answered regarding the pay and how that was gonna work, but I think it's needed, so I think it's a good idea.
Councillor Zbirun, you got the lucky last spot, so you can see what everybody else says first.
So we want to have a board to rule over this person to,
The concerns that were expressed at the CAO meeting was they didn't want one person telling them what to do. Which at Chamber, of course, I chair Chamber, they don't want somebody from one municipality in charge of the employee. Because then what if I tell them not to do stuff for the other municipality? Because, you know, I'm like that, I guess. So they want this committee of 4 put together so that those 4 decide, in theory, the bigger picture stuff. So do they do work for planning district? Do they do work for Rise, and how much can they do? And what will it cost? Which isn't a bad idea. But on those day-to-day, hey, I'm sick today, can someone watch this for me? It seems hard to bring a committee of 4 people together to be able to answer, yeah, okay, we'll cover whatever. It's just that's where I see the troubles coming. Like the big picture stuff, absolutely send it to committee, just like we bring it to council, right?
Yeah.
But the little stuff,
Yeah, you
doesn't
can't,
all
you
have to
can't
be
be
the council
having,
meeting.
you can't be having.
well, that's what I always
Committee.
thought, that if they're, say she's working for the vet board, well, you'd say, okay, can you do this and this and this? How long do you need? Like,
Yep.
do you need a week, 2 weeks, whatever? And then she goes and she gets that done, and the next day she's for the Chamber of Commerce, and they do the same thing. You know, like, how much time do you need? Well, I'm doing this for them, but I'll try and stick this in, and we'll get back to you in 2 weeks or whatever, right? I just thought that was the way things were gonna go.
we talked quite a lot about tracking those hours closely with like an hour tracking program.
Yeah.
So if I work 2 hours a day for Chamber and a day for or an hour for Rise and 5 for Vet Board, it's all there. And at the end of the month, here's how many hours were used for everybody, which would split out the billing and stuff pretty easy.
Yeah.
It's just that, and I don't know if what's written down was the intention or if the writing just kind of kept progressing and progressing and progressing and getting further
Yeah.
and making it more complicated, because it just, you know, when you read the part about the committee of 4, it's kind of tough to envision, you know, because even here I get a phone call about, you know, blah, 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 and I'm like, well, I'm 99% sure council would let do this, but we don't stop and hold a special meeting.
I guess that would be the problem, is the pay, who pays how much to, you know, you couldn't just, I guess it would be hard just to put her on a wage, just, and everybody pays so much.
I think ultimately the employee will be paid 40 hours a week at this amount.
Yeah.
And that time will be there. And it'll be kind of up to the committees to use it up. And if there's a bunch of spare time, the committees are gonna have to pay for the spare time
Okay.
to split out however it was.
Yeah,
From what I've seen of the committees and how far behind every committee that I'm on is, there'll be no spare time.
no,
It'll like you say, where they're like, I need this done, okay, but it's gonna be 2 weeks.
Yeah.
As compared to, oh, I have nothing to do today, I'll do it right now.
yeah.
Just my suspicion. I don't, hopefully in time that's better. But if this works, the committees are gonna be assigning more tasks. You know,
Yeah,
we could
that's
easily be
right.
back here in a year saying,
Yeah.
well, we really need 1.5 people.
Because I mean, if you got this person in the position, you're gonna make use of them, right?
Yeah. And hopefully that means we see all these committees accomplish more.
Yeah,
You know, imagine
exactly.
what more medical recruitment could do if they had somebody doing it 5
Yeah.
hours a week.
Yeah. Not after you have a meeting and everybody decides what to do and everybody gets up from the meeting and nobody does nothing, so.
Well, until the morning of the next meeting.
Yeah,
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
At least in my committees, it's like, oh, there's a meeting tonight, I better do this list.
right.
Okay, so I think we're generally still in favor of this. We'll get Kristi to express that back to the group and we'll see if we can massage a little bit just the wording so it doesn't be quite so rigid on how to look after the employee. Hopefully that works out. And some of that work, just from what I've been told here, may already be in progress. 7.3, Community Standards Bylaw. So we did commit to holding a special meeting on this, but the bylaw we had circulated, as Councillor Blosha read it several times, was extremely long. So this is a much pared down version. This is written from scratch. And before anyone gets terribly upset, the last page, no, it was never passed. That's just a holdover from the template I was using of a different bylaw. So this is from scratch. There are spelling mistakes, there are grammar mistakes. It's not been edited. But this was just a shot at what the framework would look like, so that as we come up to that special meeting, you've had a little more time to look at it. So it takes out a bunch of that stuff from the other bylaw that was really onerous, replaces it with a lot simpler language, kind of the spirit of what we were looking at here. There's urban, there's rural, but then it also makes this, and there's something else in case it doesn't fit well. So we can say, well, in this particular case, it just isn't the same as those and needs to be treated separately, and just say what the rule is for that area. I don't off the top of my head know what that would be, but I'm sure in time we will figure some of those out, that some things just don't fit. It sets out the standards, and then it says for rural, there's really few standards that apply, the weeds, the numbering of your lanes, unsafe structures, but, you know, within that, not just because it's an old house, an old building, something that's really unsafe, that really crosses the line of this could kill somebody if you don't deal with it. And then in the urban part, things that are more urban-y, where your cat can go and, you know, that sort of stuff. If you have comments about tonight, absolutely love to hear them. Otherwise, this is just an exercise of reading, keeping up, thinking about things, so when we get to that special meeting where it's all we're discussing, you're even more prepared to talk about it. You'll see a couple spots in there. There's one that a whole section just says FIPA stuff. That needs some language added in to say that you can't go and get the written complaints from someone through a FIPA request. So we're going to figure out how that gets worded and put it in there so there isn't this idea that you just file a request and get the confidential files that go with some of these things. And there's certainly work to be done here. And council may find some of this is not what we agree on, or we have to change it. That's perfectly okay. This is just a look at what I think we've been talking about.
7.3, 7.4, 7.5, that's urban?
So all of those are standards, but in 6 it says only 3 of the standards apply to rule.
Okay, because I was gonna say, because, yeah,
Yeah.
like those 7.3,
Basically-
7.4, they don't work in there.
No.
They can't.
No, they're basically just the unsafe structures, noxious weeds, and numbering
Okay,
signs.
yeah, no, there, I did
Those-
read through it, but you know how it goes, you just read it again and again, but this is much better, this is breaking it down.
Well, it took a
To what
look,
it
that
needs
other
to
one had a
be.
bunch of stuff about, you know, nuts and bolts of what your fire alarm had to be, and we don't really care. What we care is that you keep the building heated so it doesn't go bad, that you have some sort of security there, so you don't have squatters, and so if it catches fire, the fire department comes before, it's a huge deal. You know,
Yeah.
simple stuff.
This one is much better.
And we'll have to, it's gonna be the vacant structures and stuff. I fully expect there's gonna be some great debate to be had in that, but so be it. That's what we're here for, is to debate and figure it out. The other changes made here are the complaint type processes. some changes to how the penalties work so that you can be more aggressive if you need to be, but you don't have to be. Just more freedom. Some of the stuff we've seen in the last few weeks as we're trying to deal with a few issues in Kentville and Durban, some of what's in the current bylaws are really hard. If you have to give somebody, if your grass is too long, you have to give them a month warning of it, and then another month of second notice. You're 2 months into it already before you can go cut the grass, which doesn't make sense for cutting the grass. By then there's probably snow.
Well, we started one complaint like beginning of June. It's still not cut.
No. It's just,
So it's
yeah.
ridiculous.
Beginning of June, it's June, July, August, 3 months.
Yeah. I know. And it's not a small area either.
Does anybody else have comments they want to discuss on that tonight?
No, but it's much better.
Okay, and again, if something comes up before we have that special meeting, send it in, because I can at least make alternate language for the section, so we can say, here's this version, or here's this version, or we can pick one later, rather than trying to figure it out just on the fly. Okay, we'll leave that. Let's go to 7.4. Be it resolved that Councillor Terry Neely be granted leave to miss 3 council meetings in a row in August and September 2025 without sanction under the Municipal Act. Moved by Councillor Blosha. Is there someone to second it? Councillor McGregor. So we all kind of knew this was coming. We discussed it a bit last meeting. Mr. Neely can't be here for the 3 regularly scheduled meetings. That may, in 7.5, that may change. But at least for this, his request was that we grant him permission. We did this last year. Mr. Neely certainly isn't gone. He's available by phone. He takes calls from people. He sometimes drops by the office while he's away. It's just those particular evening meetings he can't make. So we're not trying to suggest that he's away for 6 weeks. He just can't be here at the actual meeting, but he's still doing a lot of what he normally does as a councillor. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. To 7.5 we go. September meeting dates. So we are right now scheduled for the 9th and the 23rd of September. It looks like there are some conflicts with some of those dates. I will not be here on the 9th. Councillor Kushniryk will not be here on the 23rd. Councillor Neely can't be here for either of them. So we've been looking around at options. If we moved them both by a week and went to the 16th, we can't go the 30th because it's a holiday, but we could go the 1st of October. Councillor Neely would be available for that meeting at the end of the month, so he wouldn't actually miss 3, he'd only miss 2. It would give us 1 extra week right now, and to be frank, there is not a lot happening here this week because we've got a funeral coming up. I can tell you if we hold that meeting on the 9th, the agenda is going to be shorter than it is tonight. So we'd be better off to move it a week and get back to having some things on it to talk about. Because of the way October lies with the first being a Wednesday, the first meeting in October is the 14th. So we'd still have 2 weeks between those meetings. Mm-hmm. So we'd be seeing an extra week now, but then we'd still be every 2 weeks. We wouldn't have 2 together. So I'm curious what the thoughts of council are, if you're interested in the change, or if you want to keep it as it is, or something in the middle.
I'll go for a change.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too.
Okay.
So you do the 16th?
16th and 1st.
16th and 1st.
September
September 6th,
16th
October
and
1st.
October 1st, yeah. Actually, it's good for Harvest not to be here 2 meetings in September anyway. So October 1st though is a Wednesday, you said?
Yes,
Okay. The 16th is a Tuesday.
it is.
Okay.
We may have to have cake that day. It's my birthday.
Oh, and he's going to a meeting on his birthday, Brian. On his
have a dollar
birthday.
here in
No, I
case you
never
say
did.
anything.
In case you say.
Meeting on his birthday. Well, I think we should change it to the 17th.
I'm fine with being here on my birthday. I'm not getting nothing anyway. It's like Christmas. Ain't getting me nothing.
You sure you don't want to change it to the
Boy.
17th, eh? You don't want to change it to the 17th? I don't want to take away from your family, that's,
No, I'm fine with that.
you okay?
The 9th is the conflict with my family already anyway, so if they
No,
do
but
the
you said the
9th, they can give
16th
up
too,
the
that's
birthday.
it.
Yep, that's fine. Be resolved, the 2 regular September meetings be moved to September 16th and October 1st. Is there someone who wishes to move the resolution?
I move it.
Councillor Burick, and someone to second it? Councillor Kushniryk. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. Well, we're in the date setting mood. Christmas. Rather than waiting until the last minute, how would we like to actually set the date for our Christmas party before everybody else steals the day from us? What do you folks want to do? Late November? Is that the preferred? We usually do a Saturday, so like the 22nd, 29th, or Saturdays into December, there's the 6th. Does anyone here have a preference? Ideally, we'd love all of council to be there, so if it works better for somebody for one day than the others.
We have a wedding in November, but I can't remember the date.
Do you want to think about it for one meeting only, and we will for sure set this next time?
Yeah.
Bounce it around with your
Check those
significant other and
dates.
just see?
For me, it doesn't, any Saturday's good, so.
But there
just for
is
Carrie.
there is a big wedding in November.
We'll check out when it is, and we'll try not to conflict with it. And then we'll, because ideally, this is the last Christmas of this term. It'd be good if everyone could come.
Brian did say that any Saturday is good, so if we look at the calendar, the upcoming February 14th is a Saturday.
So we'll put a meeting on that
We can
day.
have it delayed.
Except February 14th.
All in favor?
All right, so it'll be our intention to bring that back next agenda, and we will set a date, so please check your calendars. We'll check here just in case there's anything weird, but I think we're pretty open staff-wise those days. Number 8, the RCMP report. There's a bunch of numbers. I'm sure you've all had a chance to read them and determine what they mean, and there's been some crime. What exactly that crime was, it's kind of tough to tell from the report. But it's there. Any discussion on it? Nope. All right. We don't have much for correspondence tonight. Let's head to committee reports. We will start with Councillor McGregor.
Report.
Councillor Zbirun.
Had a watershed meeting. We went through the budget, passed it, and manager report and technician report and reports.
Sounds enjoyable.
Yeah, it was.
Yes.
We had a lovely lunch.
Good. All right. Anything else?
Nope, good.
Councillor Burick.
I only had one scheduled committee meeting, that was planning district. It was last week, and we, you, I, and Mario, Councillor Mario were there, attended.
Yep.
We needed 5 for a quorum, and we only had 3.
Yep.
We understood there was 5 coming, but
Yeah,
only
we did
3
have 5 confirmed, but then
Yeah,
it didn't
5
work out.
confirmed, but only 3 showed up, so we didn't have a meeting in the end, so. It was, other than that, that was it for committee reports, but I just wanted to say the signage in my area, the civic road signs, started about a week ago. A lot of people are very happy. In fact, other municipalities wish they have that. I think Minnetonka's Mountain has it already.
No, it does.
But the Minnetonans wish that, but a lot of good comments, and in fact, on 218, they were putting the sign up one day, and the next day, the ambulance had to come out to one resident. And it was very thankful to have that sign, because they didn't have a clue of where they lived.
Mhm.
But they gave the number, and so that was very good news. The mower is working, and I just wanted to say that the men did an excellent job of servicing that mower. It looks just like new. He did a good job. Sean did a good job in repairing it and servicing it, and he's working steady. Well, they started late, but he's going steady. And one resident had sent me a picture, a golf course road, where that corn patch is. You know where the corn patch is, or the Potton Drive, where Potton Drive is, and there's a corn patch. Okay, apparently, I think the RM must have cut the west side. The east side and the south side, the residents cut it.
Okay.
But on the west side of the corn patch, apparently, it looks like a mower did it, so I'd say we did it before rodeo, maybe?
Probably.
Before
We rode
rodeo?
that way.
Okay, but then they left the corner. They left the corner where you turn from coming north along the corn patch, then you go east to Potton Drive, that area. They left the scrub, like it's high scrub, you can't see who's coming around the curve, and there was a couple times this person had to hit the grass because they couldn't see a car coming. So why they left it, I don't know. Whether they broke down and didn't come back, or whether
So
something.
did they mow around the scrub? maybe?
No, they didn't mow around the scrub, it ended.
Okay, we'll check. I know that we've had a lot of discussion about what we mow and what we don't.
Yeah.
After we spent that incredible amount of money fixing both mowers and all the gearboxes, the operators have had a rather lengthy lecture from their mechanic about the size of material that can go into the mower and the size of material that will result in them helping him fix it the next time.
Okay, I just want to correct myself then. There is scrub there, but it's small.
Okay.
Maybe that's why they left it then, but I
Well,
don't know.
we'll check, we'll find out.
Yeah, check till,
They're
because it is a
told, like,
blind corner.
You know, poplars and anything that's this year's growth, like a 4-foot high poplars this year, mow it down.
Yeah.
But if it's a tree,
No, it's,
you have to help fix the
this
mower.
stuff could be about 6-foot willows, maybe 6 foot, 4 foot, 4 to 5, 6 foot willows.
We'll check.
So maybe that's why he could have left it. Never thought of that.
They're,
But
they're, you know, Public Works is fairly insistent on who's fixing it next
Yeah.
time they break it by hitting a tree.
But
Or a culvert.
they cut the grass perfectly on the west side, but when they made the curve, it's left in. So if you could tell lead hand to check that out, that'd be good.
John,
And that's it.
Councillor Blosha.
I had no committee meetings, had a few calls. Also, my request for the bridge at Durban never been looked at yet, or that's been over 2 weeks. It still looks exactly the same. And it's actually a hazard.
Last time I assume.
Yeah.
And then I had a scrubbing request last year and the year before, which never happened, never looked at.
Wasn't in Ward 6,
Which
was
is
it?
where?
No, I'll have to give you the road number again because I can't remember the road number, but it wasn't touched at all.
I think that was in Ward 6.
No, it wasn't in Ward 6. Ward 6 got some scrubbing.
Oh, that's good.
I know we
Just
did
not
discuss the bridge a couple
There's a
weeks
few
ago.
places, a few
I
other
don't know if
places
that was
where residents have been taking in their own hands because you can't get down those roads. And that's not right.
I know I did have one person complaining to me about not being able to move a 40-foot header down the road.
Well, yeah, there's that too, but there is some places where you don't take your header off because you're not going down the highway, so. But some places, they don't mind fixing it themselves, but this one road, we've been asking for scrubbing for 2 years and it hasn't happened. And it's a road that we should have scrubbed because now it's completely grown in.
Of
So,
course.
and it's hills, so it's danger too, so.
Okay.
It's actually the one past Shawbert's home, like Shawbert's and down the hill there. So the next one after Durban, the next turn
Okay.
after Durban towards Shawbert's.
169.
We've been asking for that for a while.
It's 169 north of 83.
Yeah, north. Like the whole
Whole piece there.
piece needs it.
Okay.
And it would save that from being blown in all the time too.
Okay, we will have that discussion, Mr. Derry.
But did he look at the bridge or?
I don't know. We went over.
But it was the
list
list
today,
on the
but-
list?
It was on the
Okay,
list.
yeah, because that's a hazard.
That's
And it
both
wasn't, it
sides
was
of it.
more people than just one that mentioned it, so.
Yeah. It's both ends of it when I went and looked.
Well, that one
was
end is really bad. I think
Yeah,
that
the other
figures
end's a
the
little bit-
grader hit it one
Must be.
year
Yeah.
or two.
Okay. Do you want us to have Derek here again on the 16th? Would that please the group?
Just for an update,
Okay. Do
if possible.
you want to do that a little bit before the meeting thing? We'll spend a little time with him again. Okay, let's see if he's available for the 16th. And then we can ask those questions directly if it's still not done.
Oh, yeah, and that gate, can it just be left open now?
Yep.
Okay, I don't know if it's locked again because I'm not gonna tell them to cut.
Yeah, just leave it open
Okay.
if it's closed. Yep. Anything else? Councillor Kushniryk.
Just LED, some landfill or recycle. One thing though that we did talk about that Byron would have good input on. Speed's always been a factor by the school, and we'd seen a place that had speed bumps around their school. But I don't know how that would, as far as snow removal, never really had to investigate a speed bump. But do you think it would be something to consider putting by that school?
You could put those ones that you pull off in the winter time, eh?
The rubber.
Yeah, yeah, if you needed to do that, eh?
Yeah.
Campsack did those a couple of years.
Yeah, they did theirs on
And then
the
they just
main
take them
drag
off.
coming
Yeah.
right into town, they people wouldn't slow down, so they put speed bumps there.
And people didn't move them.
No,
That was my concern with the.
They're attached somehow.
Are they?
I think they nailed
They
it
just
in
bolt it or something?
Yeah, and then they just come off. You know, like I don't
Or-
think you
or-
can just go pick it up. I think you have to
or,
control it with.
or you get caught, you get a fine.
Yeah.
That kind of puts a little incentive into leaving them alone.
We could probably slow one of the quads down in town.
They'd learn quickly.
Forget who was standing with the video watching a quad go by and said, I don't even know who that kid is. Thankfully it wasn't mine.
I don't have kids.
Yeah, right. Anything else for your report? Okay. Do we want to look more into that speed bump thing?
I don't think it'd be a bad idea.
I don't know what they're worth, but
I know the
let's find out
school's
what
made
one's
complaints
worth.
many years in a row.
Yeah. Find out what one or two would be worth if we,
Yeah.
and then we have some options
Okay.
on how they work. And then we
Yeah.
even know,
Yeah.
yeah.
And where to put them.
Yeah.
Are you gonna put one at that end and one at that end, or what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
No,
I think
yeah.
he's,
It's coming this way?
honestly, when I thought about it, I thought about three. I thought one over by where the buses turn in, one just around the corner, and then one further towards the back lane by the end of the lodge. Because the kids are pretty thick in that area walking, and then they disperse.
Okay, let's find out the cost and how it works first.
Okay.
And then we can see if we want to try it. If they don't work there, we can always move them to Kendall.
I think you gotta put them like this right across the
Oh,
road, eh?
yeah.
Because if you put one like this, they're.
Yeah, they'll just weave. You've made an obstacle course.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that wide of a road anyway.
There it is. A few things I can share. Did a little time working on the bylaw. I was also, after the planning district meeting that didn't happen, I ended up at the Benito Fire Hall. I was called by the fire chief. He explained there'd been what he felt was a miscommunication with another fire chief, and he thought I should attend. When it comes to fire departments, you hear words like that, you start to get pretty nervous. So I guess what happened, Rocky Mountain Equipment has been storing foam in Hall 2, which is Swan Valley Hall 2 now, on our property. And they've been bringing pails of foam to the valley that nobody has purchased yet, so that when a fire department goes to a call and comes back and now needs foam, instead of ordering foam and it having to be shipped here from Winnipeg, they can simply pick it up from Hall 2, and the bill then comes to them from Rocky Mountain. They pay for the foam, but they have it today or tomorrow, whenever they need it. And that's been working fairly well, from what I understand, until the other night. So Benito was at a barn fire, used up quite a lot of foam on it, needed to replenish their foam, did what they thought was the right procedure to advise Swan Valley that they were going to go for foam, told them about it, didn't receive a response. So the next day went for foam, used a code to get into the building, which they had, which worked perfectly fine, and opened the door. But once they were inside, there was this strange beeping sound. They didn't know what it was, because no one had told them about the alarm system that Swan Valley installed, nor a code to deactivate it. So they got the foam and did everything they were supposed to do, and were near the Kenville area when the fire chief called, indicating the RCMP were now going to the fire hall to arrest the person that was stealing the pails of foam. So there were some words, and somewhere in those words, maybe it got away from everybody a little bit, and the discussion became that the fire chief from Benito was not allowed into Hall 2 to get foam, unless, of course, Benito joined the fire board. So by the time I was in Benito to try to calm everyone down, most of the Benito firefighters were also in Benito. All of them fairly upset about the idea of us forcing them to join the fire board. So we spent quite a lot of time talking about nobody's forcing anybody to join anything. They will never be forced to join the board. We talked about the pros and the cons of the board. And in the end, I told them to order a pallet of foam and put it in the Benito Hall, so they don't need to go to Hall 2 to get foam. So at some point here, we'll see whatever a pallet of foam costs go through, and Benito will have lots of foam, and the fire board will sort this out at one of our future fire board meetings. But in the interim, nobody will be out of foam, everybody can go fight their fires, and hopefully we don't create any more fires between any of the fire chiefs. Great way to spend an evening, let me tell you. So that is partially resolved for now, but will come up in the next fire board meeting, so the other fire board members will get to have a good talk about that later on. We did those interviews before our last council meeting, and I don't know how much we can share in public, but I can tell you that we had discussed here who to offer the position to first. They unfortunately turned the position down. They accepted a different job elsewhere in the valley. So we offered the position to the number 2 applicant, which, as you know, when we discussed it in camera, we had a hard time choosing who was 1 and who was 2. They were both so good at it. So I hate to even say number 2. We offered it to the one that didn't win the roll of the dice the first night, and they have accepted. So they'll be joining us, and you'll see the paperwork and such come through for that at some point. They'll be here later on in September and do some training to pick up the knowledge before that leave of absence begins. So that's going along well. Sad the other one isn't here, but we got a really good person, and obviously somebody else in the valley got a really good person too. So that's an update on that. This is all stuff we have to do in camera. However, we do have a presentation tonight for council in appreciation of your years of recycling effort in the municipality of Swan Valley West. We have been presented a miniature recycling box.
Well, look at that. Wow.
I go put that in the big bin.
So we will hang this proudly in our office to commemorate how much recycling we've been doing. Hopefully this isn't representative of how little it is.
Yeah, I just,
I don't know the cost on sending those out.
I imagine a lot. It's kind of cost a lot. It's so cute though.
I know, I was gonna say, I
It
could
is,
use that
yeah.
for Sawyer's, like, little village
Yeah,
there.
it
You
is.
pull it off.
What's it cost to get that recycled?
They probably
It's
paid a
recycled
fee
plastic.
for it. But we'll find it a spot of honor in our office.
huh.
Yes.
Oh, gosh. Any other discussion tonight for committee reports and communications? Anything we should talk about?
Can I just ask one thing? I didn't have it on my agenda, but since we're talking about bridges, what's the Brown Bridge?
Yes.
What is happening with that? Like, we talked about it all summer. It's a winter's project, but is there a process that we're
You know,
going through?
we're behind on getting it done. We need to get it prioritized and get it sent out so we have the tenders and get it ready for winter.
Yeah.
So thank you for reminding us.
Okay. Well, no, I just want to know where it's at because it's, winter's 3 months away probably, so.
Let's hope at least.
September from November, 3 months.
But no, we need to be ready to go on it. So yes, we'll chase it down.
Okay.
Anything else? I haven't spent the dollar
I
yet,
see that,
so
I
it's
see
been
that
good.
meeting. I got something in camera.
Oh, I'm sure.
I got something in camera.
With that, we are going to take a short break. We'll come back, we'll go in camera. We have a little bit of personnel stuff to discuss. We're actually going to discuss tonight a little bit on some preliminaries on tax incentives. We've talked about it before, but we're trying to nail some of that stuff down so we can get a public version of it going. We have some grant things to discuss for upcoming grant opportunities. We want to do some brainstorming of what you folks think we should be applying for so we can start having the paperwork ready to chase it down. And probably some bylaw enforcement too, because what would an in-camera session be without bylaw enforcement? But all of that yet to come. For now, we'll be in recess for about 10 minutes. Let's move to 12.1 in camera. Be it resolved that pursuant to section 1523, the Municipal Act Council should meet as a committee to hold a closed meeting and continue discussions in camera regarding personnel matters, negotiations, preliminary discussions, investigation of an act or bylaw. And I think that's it tonight. Is there someone to move the resolution? Councillor Burick, I see Councillor Blosha there as well. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That's carried. Coming to the in-camera session, we've given direction to staff on a couple matters. They'll be coming forward to a public meeting shortly with some drafts of bylaws and resolutions and such. Does anyone have a notice of motion tonight? Hearing nothing. Be it resolved, this meeting shall now adjourn at 8:48 p.m. Be it further resolved, the next meeting is Tuesday, September 16th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Moved by Councillor Blosha. Now, who wants to race for second? Councillor Zbirun. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? That too is carried. Thanks everyone for a great meeting.